Happy Friday, Razorback fans. One day away from Arkansas, Missouri State. Bobby Petrino coming to your house. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how Razorback fans should react to Bobby Petrino coming onto the field again in Razorback Stadium. Neck braces or no, we're going to get into that conversation. It's kind of that I feel like that's been the most popular conversation throughout the week is how are fans going to react to Bobby Petrino this weekend? So we'll get into that and give our opinions on how it's going to happen. We'll talk about how we think the game's going to go, score predictions, all of that here on the Gridiron Hogs podcast with Mason Choate. That's me. We got Robert Stewart and Alex Trader as well. We're from HawgBeat.com. That's HawgBeat.com. We're covering the Arkansas Razorbacks for rivals. Go check out all of the great content we got over there. A lot of great stuff on Arkansas, Missouri State this week. I actually did more in-depth stuff on Missouri State than I thought I was going to do. So go check it out because I put a lot of effort into it and I think it's good stuff. So if you're curious who Missouri State is, the challenge they present for Arkansas, we got all that for you over at HawgBeat.com. All right. One day out, guys. It's been an interesting week. We knew going into this week that it was going to be a little bit different with the whole Bobby Petrino thing. I'm just curious, like, where are we at? Robert, where are you at right now on this game?
I mean, I think I think the only question left to be answered is like, are the Hogs going to cover the spread? I think the answer is yes. I mean, again, we talked about this yesterday. This is not something uh, to overthink. Like, Arkansas is clearly in every facet of the game the superior team. The Hogs are going to win this one. It's just a matter of, is their offense prolific enough to cover the spread? I think yes. I mean, 50 points seems entirely attainable in this one. I mean, you look at the past meetings with Missouri State. I think the last one was the last year that Bobby Petrino was the Razorbacks head coach in 2011. It was like 51-7 in that game. I mean, I'm sure Missouri State is the program as a whole is in better shape than it was 11 years ago, but um, Arkansas is in the top 10. Like, come on, let's be real about this one.
Yeah, I mean, Arkansas is 2-0 against the spread so far against two really good teams. I'm trying to find, so it's been kind of hard to find lines on this game. We know Bet Saracen has it at 24.5. I just looked at OddsShark. They have Arkansas as a 28.5 point favorite. Um, I mean, does that seem a little bit low? I think it started out pretty high. Alex, what are your thoughts? I mean, 24.5, Arkansas against an FCS team. I get it's Bobby Petrino, a good FCS team. What are you thinking there?
I think a lot of what you're seeing there is the fact that Arkansas has a big game next week and they have an even bigger game the week after that. I know the coaches are in the locker room. They're not saying that at all. They're saying, our biggest game of the season is right now. It's against Missouri State, but it's very clear that this isn't going to. They're not going to run their starters into the ground as soon as this game gets out of reach. Probably around halftime, you might see a series or two after halftime if things go according to plan. That second team is going to be in, and I don't think they're going to be out there running that first team offense necessarily either. They're going to be giving the ball off a lot. It's not going to be a bloodbath. Arkansas isn't going to go out there trying to kill Missouri State. They're going to take care of business, sharpen some things that they saw over the last 2 weeks that they're not overly thrilled with. Make sure that the motor's running heading into A&M and get out of there with a 3-0 record and likely a chance to move up in that top 10.
All right, let's talk over under, but not on the game. Over under neck braces in the stands. I mean, first of all, what do we think about the neck brace thing? We kind of hit on it a little bit, I think maybe on Monday with Robert and I. Alex, I can't remember if you were part of that conversation or not. We'll give our opinions, but let's just go ahead and give our opinions. Robert, I mean, what do you think? I feel like it's a very controversial topic that I didn't think would end up being controversial.
I mean, the thing is, Bobby Petrino did this to himself, and so if students want to wear neck braces, that is hilarious, and they should absolutely do it. Um, as far as like boos and cheers goes, if we want to get into that too, I myself, I'm not gonna boo him because I feel like it's far enough removed that, I don't really hold it against him anymore. Like the demise of Arkansas football for the entirety of the 20 teens, but um, I don't know. Like I don't really have an issue with people booing him because he did a very bad thing and did a worse thing in lying about it to try to cover it up. And I mean, he did kind of wreck the Razorback football team for a while. So I don't blame people for, you know, feeling negatively about him, but I think at this point, now that Sam Pittman's brought them back, it's sort of water under the bridge in my book.
Yeah, I think that that's a good way to put it is like, yeah, what Bobby Petrino did was, it was unfortunate. There was a lot of, hatred from Arkansas between Arkansas fans and Bobby Petrino for a while there, and understandably so, especially when you're looking at your program winning 2 games a year. But now you look at your program, back-to-back seasons, you've been in the top 10. Right now, you are number 10 when you're playing Bobby Petrino. Sam Pittman has returned this program to a winning culture. So I think that you can look back on that and not be as hurt as you were because you're actually winning games like you were when Bobby Petrino was the head coach. So I look at it as the whole neck brace thing, like, do it if you want, sure. I mean, Bobby Petrino decided to get on that motorcycle with a mistress and do that, and stuff happened, and he had to wear a neck brace because of that. And yeah, you're right, Robert. It is funny. And he dug his own grave. And there, historically speaking, it wasn't just Arkansas that Bobby Petrino was not that great of a human being. Like, there's been stories from when he was in Atlanta, when he was at Louisville, of Bobby Petrino doing things that people didn't particularly like. And so, um, I'm not saying that he's not a good guy now. It seems like, he's mellowed out a little bit. He's doing his thing at Missouri State. Good for Bobby Petrino. But these Arkansas fans, I mean, like, I feel like they still feel like they have a bone to pick with Bobby Petrino, and understandably so. And I've seen a lot this week about how after this game is going to be closing the book on that Bobby Petrino thing. Like, once this game's over, if you beat Bobby Petrino, you get your neck braces on, you boo him if you want, whatever you do, then you're closing the book. You're done with the Bobby Petrino thing. It's over. You got, your quote unquote revenge on him, whatever you want to call it. And then you can, put that in the past. It's whatever, move on from it. Is that kind of how you feel, Alex?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's fair to be upset. You were a coach of a program. You lost control of what you were doing with your own actions. You ended up sending that program into the ground as a result of that. So all that's going to happen from Arkansas fans. You have to add into the mix that you've got those diehard fans that are there and live through it and are really truly upset about that matter. And then you've also got the students who have been pre-gaming a 6:30 kickoff all day, are drunk, are rowdy. There are going to be neck braces. There are going to be a lot of booze. There's going to be a lot more than that coming out of the student section as well. I can guarantee you that. But in terms of just pure hatred of Petrino, he's got a lot bigger issues to worry about than Arkansas fans not really being happy with him. He didn't only wreck Arkansas's chances at continued dominance throughout the 2010s. He wrecked a lot of personal relationships, and he's had to go through and fix those. So I think as long as he's in good graces there, he's going to be far better off than whether a few Arkansas fans are clapping for him whenever he shows up in Razorback Stadium.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I think that from Bobby Petrino's perspective, he doesn't care what Arkansas fans do. I mean, he might walk out of that tunnel and see the neck braces and like maybe feel a little bit sick to his stomach, but he's also probably going to expect that as well. I'm sure there's somebody who has told him within the Missouri State program, hey, they're going to wear neck braces, so just be ready for it. So the whole Bobby Petrino thing, it's interesting. It's fun to talk about. Um, as far as what the students do, the thing is most of the students don't really remember the whole Bobby Petrino thing. And I mean, to be fair, all three of us, we were fairly young, but we understood what was happening. And we, of course, we've probably done a lot more research and talked to a lot more people about it than others. Understandably so. It's our job. And so the way I look at it is, and one thing that one thing that you guys both mentioned was Bobby Petrino kind of wrecked the Arkansas football program. And I kind of want to push back on that a little bit because what happened was once he left, it's no longer his problem. Like I get that what he built was, something good. They still had a good team that year with John L. Smith. I mean, they were preseason top 10. And then we know what happened. I think they won 3 games that year. But then from then on, it wasn't Bobby Petrino's problem. You look and they hired Brett Bielema, and then the whole Bielema thing happened. And then after Bielema, you hire Chad Morris. And so all of that had nothing to do with Bobby Petrino. But you look back and you're like, well, where did this ball get rolling? And it was when Bobby Petrino, the whole thing happened. So technically, it could be his problem, but I view it as like once Bobby Petrino left, that's no longer his issue. Robert, I mean, you're shaking your head.
I mean, you can sit here and say that it is or isn't on Bobby Petrino. I mean, I would argue that, he could have been the head coach at Arkansas for probably at least 4 or 5 more years. Um, if that happened, who's to say how long it could have been? Um, but the way I look at it now, it's like that had to happen. Otherwise, I mean, we're not watching the Arkansas program we're watching today. Sam Pittman might not be the head coach here. I don't know that. I mean, it's hard to sit here and say that that incident was worth it, but like, I think it had to happen for us to be where we are today. Us, like, people watching what's happening with the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, it happened the way it happened, and now you're here. But there's so many what ifs. Like, what if Bobby Petrino coached that team the next year that had? I mean, it was a very talented team. What if he kept building the program, but also historically, Bobby Petrino just kind of burns out and flames out after 4 or 5 years at a program. So you never really know, guys.
Right.
This is interesting. OddsShark has a predicted score for this game, Missouri State and Arkansas. The predicted score is Missouri State 28.5, Arkansas 27.3. I'm sure they just
How
run
did
that.
they?
I'm sure they just run it through like a calculator or whatever, but their predicted score has Missouri State winning this one.
Well, their predicted score is not going to happen because you can't have fractional points.
I get that. And they just probably ran it through some kind of thing that they have set up, and this is
They
what
can't round it to whole numbers.
I don't know if you round it to whole numbers, Robert. Missouri State wins 29-27.
I don't see it. Sorry, OddsShark.
Yeah, I don't get that. I guess that's a good transition into how do we think this game is going to go in score predictions. Alex, I'll let you start.
Yeah, so I think coming into the season, I chose this game as a 52-13 win for Arkansas. And I did that without really knowing what this offense was going to be able to bring. I saw them put up 50 against South Carolina last weekend, or in that range, and they did it against Cincinnati too. Not necessarily quite to that measure, but they've been able to move the ball. They've been in situations where you can see points going on the board. I'm not going to stray from that 52-point prediction. I do think they're going to come out hot. You're going to have a rowdy atmosphere going, even though it's an FCS school. It's going to be a 6:30 game. It allowed people to get into town, get pre-gaming, and get tailgating, and it's going to be a full, not a full house. It's going to be the energy is going to be there in Razorback Stadium. Like we mentioned, the total in this one 59.5 on Bet Saracen with a 24.5 point spread for Arkansas. I like Arkansas to cover the spread this game. I do think the second half, there's the opportunity for a backdoor. So I do like that first half 16.5 line for Arkansas better, just because you're going to have KJ out there. You're going to have that starting offense, that starting defense. Beyond that, I'm not really sure what happens. I don't think you're going to see that continued onslaught like I mentioned earlier. But I think Arkansas is able to take care of this one and kind of get moving on to the A&M game a little bit earlier than before the clock hits zeros.
Yeah, I've got this one, Arkansas winning 48-21. That's what I'm going to say. I think that the first quarter will be interesting. Might end up being like a 7-7 game at the end of the first quarter, but Arkansas pulls away there in the second half. Things I want to see, I really want to see if Dominique Johnson gets in and gets a few touches. I think that he really needs to get in and get a few touches. I mean, keep the workload light, very light. Just get him touches. I want to see how the secondary performs against a Bobby Petrino offense. I still think that, as beat up as Arkansas secondary is, they are still very talented and they're going up against an FCS team. They will get burned a couple times. I mean, Missouri State has a wide receiver in Ty Scott who has been incredible the first 2 weeks of the season. I think he has like 16 catches for 200 and something yards and 3 touchdowns. So they're going to have to keep an eye on him. Jordan Jones, former Razorback, he's going to be back. He's been in concussion protocol. So it'll be interesting to see that matchup, how the Arkansas secondary beat up performs. You'll probably see some Keywan Parker, who you haven't really seen a whole lot from. I know Ladarius Bishop. I'd like to see if Miles Slusher plays. So there's a few things from this game that you can really take away from Arkansas, aside from the fact that, they're playing Bobby Petrino in Missouri State. Like, there's still things that Arkansas as a program needs to focus on, because after this game, Bobby Petrino is no longer a storyline. It doesn't matter anymore. You move on with your season. Robert.
I'm gonna go with 52-17 Arkansas. I think I originally had 34-17, but I'm very comfortable giving them another 18 points. The day before the game. I just I just think the way that the Razorbacks offense was so prolific against South Carolina last week. I mean, 3 touchdowns and 3 drives, all on the ground, I'm pretty sure too. Sanders had 2 of them. Um, I can't remember if it was KJ or Dominion with the second, but anyway, um, if they can do that against an SEC defense in South Carolina, I don't understand why they can't do the same against an FCS defense. Like Alex said, I wouldn't be surprised to see some second teamers out there in the second half, but I mean, it seems like the running game is still strong no matter how far down the depth chart you go. Um, I'm very interested at the thought of seeing some of these freshman receivers work into the mix too. And I don't know, will we see Malik Hornsby throw the ball a little bit? I mean, it's all interesting, and I'd like to see how they fare. And frankly, I think they'll do well. I think they'll continue to find the end zone and you know be a constant scoring threat. And I think time of possession won't really be close in this one.
If you're looking for a bold prediction, maybe an Isaiah Satania touchdown this week. Maybe that happens. That would be a very bold prediction, but that would be fun to watch. He was so fun to watch at Fayetteville. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. Want to remind everybody before we finish about Andy Luedecke at myperfectfranchise.net. If you're a displaced corporate executive or you want to put your career in your own hands, if you're an experienced entrepreneur wanting to diversify, you need to call Andy Luedecke. He's a longtime Rivals member and franchise veteran. He uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. Call Andy, put your life and career in your own hands because it's 100% free and you have nothing to lose. His phone number is 404-973-9901, and you can visit myperfectfranchise.net for more details and information on Andy and how you can make some more money in the franchise industry. All right, guys. Next time we talk to everybody, it will be Monday after the Arkansas-Missouri State game. We'll give our final thoughts on that on Monday. But until then, make sure you visit HawgBeat.com, HawgBeat.com for all our coverage on Arkansas, Missouri State. We'll have plenty of content going out. We'll have our score prediction story today on Friday. We got the My Perfect Franchise potentially perfect picks of week 3. Robert, you like that alliteration? I know you're a big alliteration guy.
Absolutely love it.
Yes. And then let's see what else we got coming out. We'll have Game Day HQ tomorrow. 5 questions going into this game is coming out. It should be coming out in about an hour from now. So A lot of great content. Plus, Alex has his marquee matchup that he'll be covering. All that recruiting stuff from Alex as well. So check out the Preps preview. Also, if you're a high school football guy, go check out that, or gal. Go check out that at HawgBeat.com as well. Alex has his Preps preview, previewing all the high school content for Arkansas commits. All right, guys, let's get out of here. Talk to everybody on Monday.